Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode. This is episode 6 for the season, 38 for the show, and my guest today is Chief Warrant Officer Matthew Scruggs of the United States Marine Corps. And his movie selection is 2002's science fiction action film Equilibrium, starring Christian Bale, Taye Diggs, and Emily Watson. Some housekeeping to get out of the way. Let's start with our upcoming live show. Join us on Facebook Live and YouTube on February 28th when we talk to one half of DFAT ownership and just all-around great guy, Casey Bowker. He hasn't selected his movie yet, but when he does, you'll be the first to know. We are also planning to have some of the giveaways, so you'll want to be around for that. Stay in the know by following us on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, check us out on YouTube and Letterboxd. But right now, enjoy Matt and I as we delve into the futuristic, emotional suppressing Equilibrium. So without further ado, on with the show. That was the perfect analogy. That was perfect. Yeah. So Matt, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I always like hanging out and talking with you. You and Alec, I think, are the two people in my life that I had the most natural good time with. I'm always laughing to the point of tears when I'm with you guys. So I really appreciate this. Looking forward to this show. No pressure, by the way.
I'm gonna do better than last time. Last time I tried to have a planned approach, but this time we've postponed it so many times that
we're just balls to the wall. We're just gonna jump into the deep end and see what happens.
Yep. Hopefully I can feed you enough material to where the show is worth it for someone to listen to out there.
So season 3 is a big season for me. I challenged all the guests to pick a movie that they were going to hope was going to land in the top 10 at the end of the season. I don't know if you had a chance to watch our top 10 on YouTube, but what movie did we do last time with you?
Wind River.
Wind River. Oh, you did make the top 10. Did you see that? Did you see the top 10?
I did not.
Nope. You made the top 10 with Wind River. So congratulations for that. I believe you're hanging on at the 10 spot. If I'm not wrong, I'll have to go back and check. But
no, you guys have you've had a lot of good movies, so I don't think Wind River is gonna hold the line.
But so season 3, it was the challenge. You got to pick a movie in hopes to get to the top 10, and you went with 2002's science fiction action film Equilibrium, starring Christian Bale, who is fresh off of Reign of Fire at this point, and right before The Machinist, probably one of his biggest outside of Batman. Taye Diggs from Brown Sugar and Basic, and then Emily Watson, not the one that you're thinking of, the one from Red Dragon and the one from The Water Horse. What is it about this movie that made you pick it? Why is this the one you went with on this challenge?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I mean, you said Reign of Fire, and I was like, damn, I should have done that one. Christian Bale's a great actor, and it was just one of those movies where if that thing's on, I don't know if I'm just a geek at heart, but I've always really appreciated it. It's really poor attempt to link action into this dystopian society of existence or whatever. So it's like they were like, we're gonna just do some sweet shooting scenes and maybe they'll pan out. Because I've got a huge crush on the Matrix.
This is very Matrixy.
Yeah, at least some of the cinematography of it all, very early Matrix feel.
The big black leather jackets and shit.
Yeah, just the way they enter the room and they're like this dynamic, violent personality, and you think it's a very daunting task about what they're trying to pull off, and somehow he shoots 23 people and yet gets no rounds come near him, or he is untouched. So
there's some great stuff we're gonna get into with this movie and ammunition and all that. So did you see this movie when it first came out? When did you first see it? Do you remember?
I saw it pretty soon after. I mean, I think I was in the Marine Corps, so obviously it came out in 2002. I graduated high school in '03, and then hit the Marine Corps tail end of '04. But like I saw this in '05, and in my mind, I was like, this is a cult classic immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, I was like, this movie's gonna blow up over time. It's just gonna get better and better. Not quite Boondock Saints blow up, but I felt like people were gonna like this. This is gonna have a sequel just because fans want it.
Would you say you nailed that prediction?
No, not at all. I mean, and the uncanny thing about it was like the whole ritual of Sean Bean dying, which I know you're going to get into, so I don't want to like progress the podcast too early. But like little things like that are tiny anecdotes to like some of these actors' careers. So I just thought it was, yeah, I've seen it at least 7 to 10 times, like just beginning to end.
This is it. This is the movie. This movie just does it for you.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything that I want, and obviously some of the societal undertones and control, and whether we're doing the right thing for the human population as a whole. So just
I can't wait. We're gonna get so philosophical on this. Is gonna be great. Let's talk the stats of the movie. The movie comes out on December 6th, 2002. It's got a runtime of 107 minutes. That's an hour and 47 minutes. It's like a perfect time. Hour 47 is perfect. You hit the 2 hour mark, a little too long. You hit an hour and a half. I don't know, not enough material there. Hour 47, I like it. Unfortunately, the budget for the film, $20 million. Box office, $5 million.
Exactly.
It does a fourth of its budget, which has got to be disappointing. Produced by Dimension Films and Blue Tulip Productions, distributed by Miramax Films, directed by Kurt Wimmer, who's also the writer on this. He directed Ultraviolet and Children of the Corn, the remake, and he also wrote Law Abiding Citizen and the remake of Point Break. So he's not a stranger to Hollywood, not a big time, heavy hitter, but he's not a stranger either. Tagline for the film: in the future, freedom is a thing of the past.
Oh man, you've nailed the voice. Holy smokes.
I like this because this is like nostalgia 90s corny tagline. In the future, freedom is a thing of the past. Because you gotta get the future past thing in there, Anytime you can contradict yourself in your tagline, it's always like 90s. Perfect. Rated R for violence. It doesn't win any major awards. That's like Academy Awards, Oscars, Golden Globes, Grammys, none of that stuff. Yeah, it's just kind of there.
Yeah, I don't see it quite the same way, obviously. But I mean, it's not quite a Waterworld bust, and I'd be interested in seeing the stats on the movie financially now. I don't really know that it was. I mean, I'm willing to bet thousands of copies sold out of the $5.99 bin at Walmart.
Oh, for sure. Sure. This is I'll go one further. This is a good find for $5.99. If you can get a Blu-ray copy for $5.99, you pick that up. That's a good find.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So the original title, when it was announced in 1999, was 10. What's the name of the location? Tentagramma Nation. Tentagramma Nation.
Oh yeah, Tentanemagran or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Tentanemagran. That was originally going to be the name of the film, but they switched it to Equilibrium. Smart move because nobody's pronouncing that.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably still. I don't want to steal into your thunder, but yeah. No, they had a couple of weird name things apparently, like the drug that they're required to take. So I obviously reading up on it, trying to make sense of why I picked this movie, and I still have no idea. But
yeah, well, no, go ahead. What were you going to say about the drug?
Oh, I was just going to say they had to rename the drug. I think they had several names they were considering for this movie as well. So I can't even.
The drug in the film is Prosium. It was originally going to be Librium, hence the people of Liberia or Libria. As they're often referred to throughout the film. However, Librium turns out is an actual anti-anxiety drug.
Yes. Yes.
So they couldn't use it, so they went with Prozium, which is a combination of Prozac and Valium. Coincidentally enough, also two very calming drugs. What I thought was most interesting in the research that I did on this film is it's a common misconception that the drug is meant to make you not feel anything. The director and writer, because he's the same guy, said actually the drug is not designed to make you not feel anything. The drug is designed to remove the highs and the lows. So what's left behind is, quote, essentially the same person, but without these swings in emotion.
Hmm.
So that I thought that was kind of interesting, and knowing that while I watched the film, I think helped out a little bit because you can't watch this and see them as no emotion people because I don't think it's a possibility. I don't think you can have no emotion.
No, because I mean, even at the early parts before they really pushed that narrative, you could see determination, focused or
Right.
intent by Christian Bale's character. So those are forms of emotion in my mind. So, the first couple times I watched it, I'm obviously thinking like this guy was already kind of ego driven
Yeah.
and maniacal in a sense of like I'm the best, cleric or whatever, right? So like I was like they didn't remove emotion by any means. They, I guess like you were saying, trying to kind of rid one of acting on one's emotions. So uh, I guess unbridled. So
Oh, good
at least in
word. I
my
like
thought.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
That was nice.
Sorry, my
So
wife is needing something from me. What? Football game at noon. Connor. Sorry, and I'm back.
and we're back. No problem. So let me ask you this question. So you watch the film, and when the film opens, we have Christian Bale. He plays a cleric, like you said. They're
Hmm.
essentially they're these feeling police. They go around and they try to. We live in a dystopian future where everybody takes this drug that allows them to not feel. They have no emotion. But like as I just said, it's more the cutoff of the other extreme highs and lows. And these clerics go around and essentially make sure that everybody's taking their drugs, and those that aren't, those who are caught feeling, get arrested and could be killed even if they're extreme offenders. And you have this underground rebel type scenario where these group of feelers are out there trying to overthrow this awful dictator government that the clerics work for.
Hmm.
Christian Bale's partner, who is played by the guy from
Sean Beam.
The guy from Lord of the Rings. Now,
Yeah.
what was it you wanted to say about him? You had mentioned earlier.
I was just saying that we, I think in our little pop culture climate now, right, mid 2010 to 2015 timeframe, Sean Beam was getting constantly hit on for dying in so many
Yeah,
movies, right? And so I just thought it was funny, like this is one that kind of goes, slips under the radar, where he's an early character for major plot development, and then you know, hey, he's got to go, and so I just
yeah,
really started chopping at that tree with this movie. I feel like, and people didn't even realize it.
yeah. So he and Christian Bale are partners. They're both clerics, and Sean Beam is feeling. He stopped taking his medicine, and Christian
Sense
Bale,
offender.
right? He's a sense offender. That's what they call him, which is
Yeah.
really kind of that's not a great pick for what you would call people like this. But but anyway, um so Christian Bale kind of calls him out on it. He's got this sixth sense to be able to pick out people who are feeling, and calls him out on it and ends up killing him. Um and for whatever reason, he misses one of his dosage and starts feeling himself as well. Um Not like feeling
Mm.
himself, but like starts feeling also.
No, well, so I think it had something to do. I wish I would have pulled this one out, pulled the thread on it a little bit more. I don't know what Sean Beam was reading
Right.
But he was reading some poetry, maybe Walt Whitman, I don't know, like something though. But it was impactful because it again, right, it didn't take away the fact that these guys, people were thinking and understanding, like, we're not supposed to feel emotion or we're not
Right.
supposed to act. But whatever it was, that combined with, I guess, an actual drop, right? He dropped his dosage, it broke,
That's
and
what it was. He dropped and it broke, so he couldn't take it. And then
but
by the time he
the words resonated in his head when he was in the car, right? And he's like, "Oh, I'll
Mhm.
go get my one from Prosium or wherever." But it was Sean Beam's words. I mean, they didn't focus well enough on it, but they echoed in his head, and it was something about the fact that things happen.
Mhm.
Almost there's a sense of fate or purpose behind them. So I thought that's what he was ultimately thinking. Now is like, oh well, maybe I missed that dose purposefully, like I was supposed to. But again, I can't remember the quote or the poem that he was reading.
So let's talk about that, because this is obviously the conversation that the director, the writer, the film wants us to have, right? So you had this dystopian future where we've removed emotion from humans. Is it better? Is it a better future?
Ooh, I mean, for me, no, absolutely not. Right? It takes the human out of humanity, right? I mean, I don't really, like you said, you could get ultra philosophical based off of this movie and like what it points to. But again, when you pull the decisions and freedoms away from people, no matter what, whether it's a government apparatus or in this case, obviously it was, but via medically induced, non-sensing humans, then really, I think, and we'll get into it obviously, but the female lead, she pointed out, right, that it took the point of living away. So
But why is that? Why is it that every time we turn on some AI robot, or we fast forward into the future, we have something out to destroy mankind because we're so awful and we're this virus? Why is why are humans so destructive?
ooh.
Do
So
you
I
think it's
think
do you think
that's
it's emotion?
uh yes, right. It's how we process the most dynamic events in our life. We whether we are we're connected to our children and our spouses and family, and I mean, think about all the colloquialisms and like immediate statements that people make, like, oh, I mean, I would kill someone if they put their hands on my daughter, or I would, right. It comes off all so nonchalantly because people truly feel that way. So depending on what's most important to you, and then that tied with an emotion and then an event that you weren't necessarily prepared for. um that's why people act with such raw emotion. And some people obviously forecast events in their life and they're able to process and I guess I say exercise a level of emotional maturity, but most people don't get that. We're not that fortunate, right? Things happen that we don't plan for, and that causes a emotion to take over. We fall back to one of our more whatever you would call it, right? Easier traits as a human. We let emotion take over, and that kind of rules our compass. So I
So
again,
why doesn't this work then? I mean, if we can get rid of emotion, you know what it is? It's because it was a daily pill. You got to do it like once a year.
I yeah, no, I mean, real world, like if we had this again, right? Like, and it's just kind of funny that it's ongoing, which our country is in societal turmoil right now. But think about it. It's like the vaccination, right? Like, you got people on either side, like that have flip sides
Yeah.
depending on the politics of it, have flip sides depending on, what the repercussions are of it. Like, oh, at first it was like, why wouldn't you do this? You're endangering other people, you're endangering your family. And now those same people are like, but I need to know that I have a personal freedom, and I've had it twice and I've rebounded. So like I never felt medically threatened. So like, is it for the betterment of the people around you or for the betterment of you? Like,
Right.
so I think it all comes back to, we are, as humankind, we really pronounce that with the fact that we are human. Like, not, we don't say we're humans kind, right? Like, because then we're like lumping us all together. We're human. One, we like really like to focus and be selfish and not selfless. And I mean, again, I think that's something that I really take from a movie like this, and I take from a lot of the sci-fi. Like, I mean, The Matrix is another great parallel, right? Like,
Yeah.
the machines thought they had really worked out the best theory to prolong human life while ensuring their existence, but really they were just using us as an energy source. But like, at the same thing, like, whoever, we'll get to it, but father or the character there, right? Like, he thought like, oh yeah, he's rid the world of violence, but he really hadn't, because he was executing his own violent regime in the background,
Right.
right? So like, at the end of the day, yeah, there's probably someone, corrupt decision makers somewhere in the root of it all, but yeah, humans we're selfish creatures. So I'm sure at like the root of it, it was like, oh yeah, this is the best way for humans to prolong life and ensure, kind of a sanctimonious existence of, but it doesn't work out, right? We are who we are. So yeah, I don't know, like, but yeah, vaccinations. That's kind of the way I
Profound.
read it.
Matt, you're so profound. So I do want to talk a little bit about the guns in this film, and because the guns are such a huge part of the film, there's a whole new gun martial arts that was developed for the film. It's called gun kata or gun fu. It was invented for the film and also used in the movie Ultraviolet by the director. Did you hear about this?
Yes, yeah, I fully read up on it. I was convinced John Wick had actually adopted this somewhat. Just if you look at some of the moves from the Wick movies, not quite as, I don't know, oriental in the sense of like, pre moves and staging for other moves, but very similar like mechanics to it. So
Yeah, so the idea behind gung fu is that you can, as the gung fu master, you can kind of anticipate what the most likely scenario is going to be, like how the shots are going to get fired, so that you can position yourself to be least likely to be hit and also be able to take out your targets the most proficient way. Listen, badass. It works in the film. It kind of they explain it quickly, and it's only used to kind of show why these police officers are so elite because they're masters of this stuff, and it works. I think it works pretty well.
oh yeah, when the first, maybe second or third time, I actually like honed in on the mechanics of more of what Christian Bale was doing and the clerics and how they were trained, and he was the most formidable, cleric, supposedly, right? I guess he had racked up the stats. And but if like at one point in time when the guns engaged those, out of the bottom of the clips, I don't even know what those
Yeah.
were. Like, looks like thumbtacks or nails, like the heads of nails pop out of the bottom of these things, and he uses it as like clubbed instruments of death, and he's just
So
pistol
awesome.
whipping everybody. And I was just like, man, this is so awesome and cheesy at the same time. But
Oh, it was the
uh,
greatest thing ever. That so I want to get into that because this to me is kind of what sets this movie above a little bit. Is we have the gun fu, but not just that. So the muzzle flashes from the weapons in a lot of instances were made to resemble the insignia of the Terrategrimination. The
Techroconomicon.
exactly. The main like the emperor, the empire, if you will, from Star Wars. The main group of bad people. Their little insignia, the muzzle flashes were made to look like that. How cool is that? Not just okay, so the violence in the scenes, specifically the blood, gradually gets greater as the movie goes on. In the earlier scenes, you don't have any blood, and towards the end, you have lots of blood, and that's supposed to show how he's becoming more emotional, and he's starting to see more of the destruction that he's causing.
Yeah.
There's no wires used for any of the stunts in the movie. It was all practical. They used trampolines and stuff like that. I mean, this movie is so well done. I want to get into the architecture. They purposely chose shooting locations in Berlin, and we chose these quote. We wanted to make the individual feel small and insignificant, and the government seem much more powerful. And this was the only location we could find with this type of architecture. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of thought went into the movie. Again, that's why I was pretty convinced, like after probably the third or fourth time watching it on Sci-Fi Channel, sadly, and I was like, man, this movie has to have a cult following, just because, like you said, the tetragrammaton or whatever, right? So that T, if you like, several of the movie posters, they have the T made out of the silhouette of two, Taye Diggs and Christian Bale standing next to each other. They really pushed, that monolithical architecture, right? Like this very tall, like overwhelming, walking into like a major, facility or location, right? And you're supposed to feel that insignificance. So I thought they did pretty well, considering. Like, I was surprised about the $20 million budget after seeing the cars. I mean, I don't know if you noticed that, but they were like they were 1995 like Ford Tauruses or something that they had painted all black or all white. Like,
but it was a really cool black, and it's obviously an expensive black. No, but you're right, but the movie, those little details, I think, really stand out, and they do kind of give you this subconscious type feelings. And like you said, so Taye Diggs, he comes into the film because not only does Christian Bale kill his partner and start, obviously misses his dosage and starts feeling, he gets a new partner. That's Taye Diggs. Taye Diggs is another cleric, and he's also kind of a badass cleric and knows his shit. Christian Bale has 2 kids. He also had a wife, and you get this kind of backstory where he found out his wife was feeling and turned her in, and she was killed, and he was there for the execution. And he now is raising his kids, just him, which is fine though, because his kids are also on the pills and little non-feeling a-holes.
Well, his son was whatever they're like. I don't remember the name of what the kids were, but young males were trained to be
future clerics.
Well, and judges, right? Like, they would stand on the outsides of the main facilities, and they would be like, they would point out people that they were sensing that these people were feeling. So they had that sixth sense. They were training them in that ability to sense people who were, not on their dosage or not taking their Prosium.
Yeah.
So, I thought the kid dynamic was great, because, especially the way the things kind of unfolded in the movie towards the end. I was like, holy smokes. I mean, again, just kind of wrote those characters off because they were small, but they were showing some of the impacts of like stilling childhood, stilling like that.
Need more context on your favorite movie?
Is Obama.
Okay.
Senator Obama.
Ever wonder why they did or didn't do that thing or include that scene?
This is prime. Like, this is quality entertainment.
Check out Gutsy Media Podcast as my friends and I take a deep dive into everything from blockbusters to indie films.
The weakest apple cider bitch beers.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That's Gutsy Media Podcast for everything movies.
from the far reaches of the galaxy to an internet location near you. We're Don'tForgetATowel.com, your daily source for geeky pop culture news, reviews, interviews, and so much more. So as you're hitchhiking your way through the universe, don't forget to travel safe, and don't forget a towel.
The whole point of being a child, right, is to experience emotion and have to deal with, like a cookie being taken and like that being your world. So these kids don't even have to deal with that apparently.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. The kid that they have in the movie does a great job. He seems very authoritative. He's very adult. I mean, they have these very like discerning conversations. And kudos to him for being able to pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
So the middle of the movie, I don't want to insinuate that the middle of the movie is slow or drags on, because it doesn't. But you have multiple kind of storylines going on at once. So you have Christian Bale, who's obviously going through this whole transition where he's not taking his medication, so he's starting to feel, and a lot of these things are new to him. I mean, he actually cries. He's listening to classical music, but all of this he's trying to hide from not only Taye Diggs but his whole family, his kids, the organization he works for. In combination with that, Taye Diggs and Christian Bale are out to get this rebel group, and as part of that rebel group is this female played by Emily Watson. She knew the Sean Bean's character, and she's a feeler. She's a sense violator.
A sense offender. I like sense violator even more though.
Honestly, this storyline, I could take it or leave it. What are your thoughts on the female storyline here, the love interest storyline here?
I don't know. I didn't like the picture. She had a picture with Sean Bean. So was she like, were they pre Sean Bean's clerk status, or was she, part of the underground and Sean Bean just happened to I don't know. Like the photo didn't really make sense to me. Maybe I missed something, the 7 times I've seen this movie. Doubtful, but I didn't mind her. I didn't mind the interrogation scenes. I thought they added purpose, and I thought really what it was doing a good job of pulling him back into those last moments of his marriage, and the fact that he was with his wife who was not taking her Prozium, and yet was he blinded by emotion, light leveled or light layered emotion, by oh well, I'm a badass cleric, there's no way my wife could be getting away with this in the background. So again, I thought it did good to kind of balance that out. But yeah, I mean, it was
too often I feel like they tried. I feel like some writers or some studios kind of have this list of things that movies need to have. And it's like, okay, you've got to have some sort of love storyline. There's got to be some sort of male, female chemistry, and they have to pigeon toe it into the story. And I feel like that's this. We get some information out of it. Like you said, you get to, have some interrogation scenes where we peel back the onion a little bit on this world and on Christian Bale. But I feel like you could get that in doing it a different way. I had no real interest in Emily's character. I don't think she's that great of an actress. And when she dies, again, I don't really care that much. It tugs on the whole Christian Bale storyline, because he tries to prevent her from dying, like he couldn't try to prevent his wife from dying, or he didn't try to prevent his wife from dying.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some redemption there. You see that is a little different. But ultimately there's no real stakes in her death, and I don't really care about her.
Yeah, huge. It was a huge scene though, because it was after he had missed his first dosage, maybe 12 hours in, 15 hours in, right? And he's with Taye Diggs, and he can sense that Taye Diggs is, not a trustworthy, not a true friend, I
Mhm.
think, right? So I think they were trying. Like, I thought they did a really good job at those subtle hints as Christian Bale's character is coming out of that emotional coma, if you will, and and they're not supposed to have mirrors in their house, right? Because for whatever reason, like because it promotes, I guess, ego and lust and what have you. So when he spins her around in some weird way and was like, look in the mirror, and he's looking at her through, into the mirror, like you can tell he has that first moment of appreciation for the opposite sex.
I just want to say, I don't think it's that they're not supposed to have mirrors. I think it's that mirror had a decorative frame around it.
Oh, good call.
Because he's got the mirror in his bathroom.
And it's just very bland.
It's just
like
very bland.
Medicine.
Right.
Medicine. I thought maybe his cleric status had earned him that mirror eye. Seven times watching the movie, I've convinced myself
on his promotion day, he gets his rank and a mirror.
Gold watch at 20 years of service. He got a silver trimmed mirror. So
nice. So Taye Diggs is also looking at Christian Bale sideways, and Christian Bale is going to help the rebellion, and they're going to kill Father. Father is the leader of this, government, and the ultimate, head of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which not a huge fan of that either, because of how it ends, which I guess we can just get to. But before we do, there's a couple things I want to touch on that I thought was pretty cool. So the other thing is the director Wimmer. He said he intentionally avoided using futuristic technology that could become obsolete, and that he also decided to set his story in an indeterminate future. He said, quote, "I wanted to create more of an alternate reality than get caught up in the gadgetry of science fiction," he explained. "In fact, there's no technology in Equilibrium that doesn't already exist. It's more like a parallel universe."
I can see that.
Yeah, I could see that too. I like that. The film takes place in the year 2072. And you had talked about John Preston, that's Christian Bale's character. John Preston holds third place record for most deaths caused by one character in a movie at 118 deaths. Third place. Isn't that awesome?
Is that I feel like that's an estimation as well.
He did, 118. It's roughly half the total of 236 deaths in the movie. Second place is Smith from 2007's Shoot 'Em Up at 1,441 deaths, and first place is Ogami Itua from 1984's Lone Wolf and Cub: White Heaven in Hell at 1,500 deaths.
No clue what that movie is.
It's a Japanese film.
Wow.
And the only little other fact I have is that Daniel Radcliffe actually auditioned to be the son in this film. This would have been right around Harry Potter time.
Oh man, that would have ruined everything. There's no way he's coming.
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, with the lightning bolt, how are you gonna?
Yeah,
you're gonna know he's Harry Potter.
Yeah, we would have never let that one go.
So let's talk about the end of the film. So Christian Bale goes in, guns a-blazing, and kicks everyone's ass.
So number one, two things that I saw, and again, maybe that's why I'm like intrinsically always just gonna love this movie, is he in multiple scenes would kind of took off running in a very American Psycho-esque manner, right? Like sweating profusely. He's running. I'm like, no one's ran in this entire movie. Even cops, when they were, like the Joe Schmo cops that are geared out, with a full catcher's uniform. Like no one's ran in this movie. And here you are, Christian Bale's like bumping into people. Like clearly, I feel like everyone would be turning towards him like zombies and pointing at him like Simps offender, But so I was actually I just constantly annoyed by that. And then like the time where he was running to prevent her from being torched. Same thing, right? He's running down the hallway, blazing fast. All the like, I think he runs by one person, comes up to a guard, does this like very like, let me get my wits about myself. But I was like, no, like it's too late, man. You clearly are like very human right now, and so like it's just like nobody calls him out, I guess, because of his elite reputation. And but I just thought, I thought those were kind of nonsensical. But again, I think purposeful. They were, he was trying to, Wimmer's trying to establish that he's off cycle, right? Like he is.
Yeah, he's not. He's struggling. He's struggling to cover it up himself because it's so there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of relate to that guy, just constantly running in life. And this emotional frenzy of like,
so he finds out that his kids haven't been taking it either, and they haven't been taking it since the mom died.
Yeah, they were like, oh, how long is it since mom died? And I'm like, again, I was like, Dad, man, that kid had me fooled. I mean, he's only been in like 5 minutes of continuous scenage, but
still though, he did such a great job.
Yeah, so I thought, again, that was a great part. I think that helped establish for Christian Bale that he was doing the right thing, right? Because his children feel this innate sense to like not do this, and I think like him, I don't know, I felt like he felt like yes, that validation or vindication that this was the right way to go about things. So after that, I thought there was a good switch.
How do you feel about the ending?
My favorite part of the movie, like, I mean, it's up there with just pretty much any favorite part of any movie, is when he's on the polygraph and that thing just goes flatline, right? Like he's just all over the place. They've riled him up and he's just, basically you're like, dang, they're like, I really didn't know how things were going to go. And then he just finds a way to like go stalemate Christian Bale, flatline the poly. And they all, basically everybody in the room's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
we fucked up. We fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, and after that, yeah. And the fact that it was in all white, I mean, I thought he was going to walk out like it was going to be more Dexter Morganish. Like the fact that he was wearing a full white robe and ensemble, I was like, oh, dude, he's about to be blood ridden, like just straight American Psycho. Like,
yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if I just, again, but either way, yeah, I liked it all. I mean, I liked kind of the double crossing or triple crossing of the character, whatever DuPont, whoever the guy who had fictitiously created the father character and was actually the individual running the society. And I like that he had Taye Diggs in his back pocket and that they suspected, it was one of their higher level clerics throughout the movie that had kind of turned on them. I thought that was all good, but yeah, I thought, I mean, honestly, I thought it was kind of anticlimactic. Like, other than he cut Taye Diggs' front half off. Like,
he does. He cuts Taye Diggs. That's because Taye Diggs was not available for any of the reshoots. So when they had to redo the fight scene, he wasn't available. They basically just did a quick little, and there's not much of a fight scene, which actually I liked because Taye Diggs annoyed me in this film.
Yes.
So the fact that he was kind of disrespected by Christian Bale's character, I liked.
Yeah.
So listen, we have a very important task here, Matt. We have to determine if this is a good movie. Luckily for you, we have the ability to do that with our classic question game.
Ooh. What?
It's playing my ear. I'm gonna have to shorten this because probably could have played earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you know, we have the three questions that we have come up with to determine if the movie is good. Season 3, we have 3 new questions. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Question number 1. Does the progress and rhythm of the movie fit?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would say that there's some unfortunate like hard pivots that maybe make it it's not very fluid in its progression. But I would say for the most part, very like it stays on point and it stays true to the purpose of the movie, and while ultimately having the I think the ending everyone's pulling for.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't rush too much. There is maybe some lulls in the middle, but not abnormal for most films to have that. And I don't think it's out of the ordinary. In like it's not doesn't the movie doesn't come to a dramatic halt. It's fine.
Mhm.
Okay, question number 2: what, if any, part of the film speaks to you, and why?
Mm. Um, I mean, it's probably changed over time, but like I think initially, like I appreciated that that a dude that was so highly regarded and held kind of the standard for the clerics, in this government and highly governed society, right? Like even he is culpable or can potentially uh, I guess see the error of his ways and the organization he's with, and still make a lasting change or impact to right the wrong, right the ship, so to speak. So I really appreciated that, and then more personal, again, I realized like I thought it was pretty significant, whether it was meant to be or not, that the kids, were proactive enough to make that decision, like after they realized that this wasn't right. They stopped taking theirs, but maintained the front, knowing that there was a way to eventually work out of this. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think I wouldn't say that any part of the film speaks to me, but I would say that one of my favorite films is V for Vendetta, and there's some
mhm.
parallels, in this, dystopian future where the government takes over everything, and I think it just goes to show that you have to be careful how much of your freedoms you're willing to give up, because there is a tipping point, and you don't always know it when you're there. Um, the question number 3: what is the most important sequence in the movie?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think the plot development is more important than like all the ensuing violence. Um, I think if you're really getting most important, that he successfully navigates to the underground. So it's kind of like a probably a scene that doesn't really get the attention it's due, but you know he stays on track with it, and attempts to track down the underground council, and develop a plan, right? Like, so again, it's kind of probably in the part where it's like a lull, but it allows like the movie to take the turn that it has to start to reach its climactic point, I guess. So for me, but yeah, again, all the violence, all the gun fooing was pretty important to me at the onset of this movie. I don't know. It was definitely Matrix-esque for me. So like, I was just that guy.
Well,
I
I
mean,
think if you're gonna go most important sequence, you got to go with his dosage breaking. Like
yeah,
that's got to be the most important, right? I mean, without that, he doesn't feel, and then none of this happens.
yeah, but I mean, now you're getting into like again, I think as far as like the movie itself, I mean, it would have been, think about it, they could have said, hey, we need to turn the most lethal of their clerics, and he could have been captured and strung to a chair
Oh, yeah,
and
it's true.
slowly. So I'm just saying, like the way they picked to do that, like again, it seemed like kind of that's why I thought the poem was pretty important, because that made it helped balance the fact that he wouldn't just stick another tube in there and inject it. Like,
Yeah,
he saw it break, he was like, oh, that's weird, that happened, and then cue what just played out with Sean Beam, his partner, who, although not feeling emotion, clearly there's some connection to, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's it. Killing Sean Bean is probably having to kill his partner is probably.
I like how he basically killed his wife. Nothing. Killed his partner. That's really just it bothered him.
That turned him, right? Like that was the turning point for him. So never mind. I recant my previous statement. Edit that one out. I will say shooting Sean Bean.
As always. Okay, so we've talked plot, we've talked behind the scenes information, and our top 3 questions on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being horrible and 10 being a masterpiece. What do you rate this film?
Oh, it's a 10, Bobby. Did you see it? Of course. Come on. I mean, I would watch it right now if it was on Sunday afternoon. It's like perfect in Hawaii to watch Equilibrium.
So when is it not, right? So I mean, for season 3, I guess what's more important is what do I rate it? 1 through 10? I'm gonna give this a 7. This is a 7. Listen, I like it. It's a good movie. I liked it before I watched it for the podcast, and this is one of those few films where the research I did didn't really change it one way or the other. It's a decent film. There are things that could be improved upon, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like I wasted my time. Solid 7, holds my attention the whole time. I do want to talk about a few amazing things that happened after the film. In 2017, American Mythology Productions published a 3-issue comic series set in the world of Equilibrium and is a sequel to the movie centered around John Preston.
Nice.
Also, in 2018, a fan made a short film called Equilibrium Balanced. It became so popular that it's actually been sold in some online locations. Set 15 years after the first, follows the re-establishment of the Tetragrammaton as they hunt down John Preston with help from his son and next generation cleric.
Nice.
So I always like when they do the fan made stuff, but I would love to see a sequel to this. You think we'll ever get it?
No, I think Christian Bale would have early enough. I mean, maybe it doesn't have to involve him, but I don't think you get, again, for the cult following, right? Like it'd be the same as if they made another American Psycho. Everybody knows Christian Bale made that movie, right? Like his character.
Wait a minute. If they made another American Psycho, you don't know about the sequel?
No. Oh yeah, I do.
There is a sequel, American Psycho 2,
Wait a minute,
starring Mila Kunis.
Yeah, it's Mila Kunis. It's not Chris. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a sequel in my mind. That's what I'm saying. This wouldn't be a sequel unless John Preston, Christian Bale comes back, even if it's just for a short period, and then he gets eloquently finished off, in some weird way of like, okay, well, my time's come. If we're gonna reinstitute this society, then I'd rather die, right? But I will say 2 things that I thought you would bring up. I don't know if you saw the flag for the great Tetragrammatronian nation.
It doesn't ring a bell. No. What is it?
Can I send it to you? I don't really want to describe it over because
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
It's either way. It's red and black and white, and it looks very Iron Cross-ish.
It does. I mean, it's most definitely trying to be a Nazi flag.
Yeah. So it's very, I mean, when you see it, you're like, what? But it's actually made out of 4 T's for the four-person council. Yeah, but I saw the flag and I was like, what in the world? So either way, again, right, kind of took a lot of, I guess, origins of and architecture and all that from Germany.
For sure. But so let's play everybody's favorite game, Guess That Tomato.
I feel like I've seen it before, probably because I'm like, what am I guessing? The actual critics, or
you are familiar with the website Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, absolutely.
And on Rotten Tomatoes, they have the critic score and the audience score. You are going to try to guess the audience score for 2002's Equilibrium. You're going to give me a guess. I'm going to give you some hints, and then you're going to have an option to change your guess if you want to. So first, let's start with your guess. On a scale of 0 to 100, what do you think the audience rated Equilibrium?
Somewhere in the 60s or 70s. 64.
64. Okay. I'm going to give you the critic score for this film. The critics rated this film 41.
Wow.
So that's number one. I'm also going to give you 3 films that are within 2 points of this film. So plus or minus 2 points, same score as Equilibrium. Okay. We're going to
Okay.
do The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So the first one, The Good, 2013's The Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. The good part, the utter debauchery that is this film. It is unrelenting, unapologetic, and I love every single minute of it. Movie number
Dang.
2, The Bad, 2016's Deepwater Horizon, starring Mark Wahlberg. The bad part, that I have to live through another movie that forces me to listen to people defend Mark Wahlberg's acting. Whom, you ask? Whom?
Oh, man.
The third film, The Ugly, 2013's Don John, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The ugly part, listen, everyone makes bad movies, but when you watch this and then you find out that it was his passion project and directorial debut, ouch, that was ugly. So those are your 3 film hints. Matt, you said 64. Do you want to change your guess?
I wouldn't know. Wolf of Wall Street, and then the other 2 are just horrible. Yeah, I'll stick with it.
Okay, you said 64. The correct answer is
That's like a bad car.
81.
Damn it. Okay.
That's not bad. 81's good. Critics gave it a
Yeah, I know.
41, but audience 81.
Yeah. No, I figured it didn't have quite the following, but 81's pretty good. I mean, holding
81's pretty
strong.
good. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, listen, Matt, it was been a pleasure talking about Equilibrium. Before I let you go, it's a firm belief of the owners of Don't Forget a Towel that everybody geeks out on something. While it may not be movies and comic books, maybe it's futuristic, shooting your partners and not taking your medicine. So I've got to ask you, Matt, what is it that you're geeking out on right now?
I got nothing. Not even close.
What are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun?
Oh man.
How was the Marine Corps ball, you lucky SOB?
Yeah, 246 years. That's what I was going to say, actually. I've been reading. I don't know if it's just because I'm finally getting old and appreciating the organization I've given 17 years to. But I've
Probably not
been
that.
reading. Well, especially, I'm geeking out over military heritage in Hawaii, specifically units based out of here, just because.
Oh, that's got to be, yeah, you got to be able to see some great museums and history down there, man. That's got to be great. Have you gone to any of the stuff?
No, we haven't. We haven't been. Well, I mean, I say that like my regimental headquarters building was built in 1952.
Wow.
Yeah, still standing. It's the first installation map produced of Kaneohe Bay has our regimental headquarters building on it. Not many other buildings, right? But some of the initial hangars and that were on this side of the island post Pearl Harbor, right? Because they had to kind of disaggregate and dislocate some of our aerial platforms after that those catastrophic events. Yeah, so I mean, I've been geeking out a lot more over that. It's kind of easy to come by the knowledge. There's actually like it's over by the general's housing on our base. They have a plane that crashed during Pearl Harbor, one of the Japanese planes, and they left the wreckage. Yeah, so it's it's kind of got like a roped off area, but pretty. Again, just being out here and never really been a huge historian by any means, but seeing that stuff and then hearing about some of the things as far as people that were buried and exhuming bodies because of the island itself and the tribal affiliation, as well as like it's a huge kind of a historic. This island serves as a historical landmark for not only our military but obviously our country. So pretty impressive stuff.
Well, thank you so much for your service, Matt. We really appreciate it. Happy birthday, happy Veterans Day. Although at this point, the listeners are probably, this is going to be 2 or 3 months from now. But thank you anyway. I appreciate it. Any last minute comments before we sign off?
No, man. As always, appreciate it. Thank you for facilitating my schedule. I know we bounced around a good bit, but I loved the opportunity, and I didn't want to let it pass me by. So I appreciate it.
You're welcome anytime, man. I appreciate you.
Hopefully, your listeners can stand my my droning on voice and delivery, and give Equilibrium a shot.
Check it out, folks. Thanks, Matt.
Bye, Bobby.